Good evening and welcome to the May 15th regularly scheduled meeting of the Bedminster Township Committee. It is 7:02. I recognize that we have full attendance by the Township Committee here in person. Ms. Ray, may we please have the open public meeting act statement?
Yes, Mayor. Adequate notice of this meeting of the Township Committee was sent to the Courier News Somerville, Bernardsville News Whippany, and to all subscribers, and posted at the Township Municipal Building on January 10th, 2023.
Great. Thank you. Please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, this is the time of the meeting that we open up the microphone and Zoom for public comment. Any member of the public wishing to make a comment tonight, please come up to the microphone right up here. We're gonna need your name and street where you live. And we have someone who's ready to go. So
It should be on.
so you can
Right.
take a seat if you want. You don't have to.
It's already on.
Okay, perfect. I'm Karen. I live on Main Street, and we had a couple other residents that were going to join Zoom and couldn't be here today, but I'm representing some of the residents that live on Main Street specifically. What we wanted to bring to the committee's attention was some excessive speeding that we're experiencing in our part of 202 that we live on. We have a couple asks for the committee to look into regarding the speed. The speed limit, as you all know, is 35. When people are going 35 and trucks and cars are going 35, it usually works out fine. However, there are a lot of folks that are not doing 35. We have seen Bedminster Police come out and ticket before, which is a really good temporary fix for it. But we would really encourage the committee to look at what other towns have done, like Somerville. They've just recently in December lowered their speed limit to 25. That when it borders Somerville going in, it's like the Route 28. So that's been slowed. And then also Gladstone and PPAC have done a really good job managing this. Why does it make a difference? We have runners, we have bikers, we have moms with babies and baby carriages walking down here. When I get my mail out of my mailbox, I feel like someone's going to kill me, literally. That's how fast they're going. We really have been trying to, talk to neighbors, talk to some of the businesses and see what they feel about it. And they also feel the same way. And they could definitely join us for the next meeting. But we were hoping that the town could look into what have other main streets done as it's becoming more residential in these different towns, to help just kind of slow things down from a noise perspective, from a safety perspective. I think Bedminster's changed a lot. There's high-rise apartments that are down by Leamington now that have a lot more residents that are using the area differently than it has been in the past. And we're newer residents. I don't know if the speed limit's been any slower or any faster, but it would be great to maybe do a reassessment.
Karen, we will need your last name. First name was nice. We're going to need your last name.
Grace.
Grace.
Mm-hmm. And I'm talking about the area.
When did you move to Bedminster?
2021.
Okay.
And the area specifically is Belcher Fairground through to Leamington, that strip. A lot of people might raise their eyebrows. Wow, people live there. Yes, we do. Mm-hmm. There are renters there. We are specifically homeowners that live there. So that strip.
And I'm sorry, what strip again?
It's Belcher Fairgrounds as you come over the bridge and head down towards Leamington, where the gas station is and the new apartments. So that entire strip that has all the attorneys and accountants and the Far Hills Pharmacy. They said that someone almost got hit pulling out of their Far Hills Pharmacy because people do not slow down in that area at all anymore. So that area of the roadway is a problem, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, we do have our police chief with us tonight. Chief, have you had any complaints or issues or any just on your experience in dealing with your officers and when you were on patrol, concerns that you've seen or concerns that have been raised to you regarding speed limits on that section of Main Street?
Actually, John, I might have talked to you before.
Maybe.
And Chief, I think we're gonna need you on a microphone.
Yeah, this issue has been raised before. I believe Ms. Grace, I spoke to her, I don't remember when exactly.
It wasn't me. There's a neighbor that was
Oh.
talking to you. Her name was Beth.
Okay,
And she was a renter, and she had a concern about the speed probably a year ago, maybe 8 months ago.
yeah, it's not the first time we've heard about it. It's not an area where we have a lot of accidents, no pedestrians have been hit. There's not like an overt issue that I could tell you about, other than people have raised this concern, and we've done speed enforcement and things of that nature, put the speed sign out to try to mitigate it.
And certainly Far Hills does, you know, a little notorious over there when the speed limit drops to 35 right by the train station.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So-
half the road is state, half is, and the other portion is a county road.
Mhm.
So anything they'd have to be involved, obviously.
Mayor, I have had, I've received comments in the past about the crosswalks and that the traffic does not honor the crosswalks. Folks are waiting across and people are just blowing right through it. And I have heard from some folks over on Elm that the pace of traffic's been a little too fast at times as well. So this is not the first time, but to Chief's point, I don't know whether we've had, you know, not that we're looking for an incident, but, you know, it hasn't been a consistent problem, but folks who do live there have mentioned it in the past.
Kevin, is there any timeline on the replacement of this, the crosswalk and pedestrian signs? Are we gonna end up with beacons there? I would imagine when they do the road improvements.
Yeah, that should correlate because they're gonna add these, the extra sidewalk. So I don't have time, so probably they say every year.
Every year it
Every
gets
year.
pushed back, yeah. So, Ms. Grace, one of the things that is in play is that DOT is looking to replace the bridge at the fairgrounds, and that work is originally scheduled for 2018, 2020, 2022. And so, yeah, but as part of that, there would be upgrades to the sidewalk, and most likely as part of any of those funded projects, new pedestrian crosswalks, and everything we're doing right now involves the beacons. It certainly is a traffic calming device. Kevin, if you could just reach out to DOT and see if the beacons are in the works for the pedestrian cross on Main Street. Yes, sir.
They actually are. We did get a letter from the DOT with the crosswalk suggested improvements, so Paul needs to just take a look at those.
Yeah, I know there were some discussions at one point about moving it around. But
We just got it
beacons-
like last week,
yeah.
so.
And so, Doug, that would certainly address the concerns that you had heard. I will say, that's my neighborhood as well.
Okay.
I have not seen a speeding problem.
There's a
And
resident who bought a
I walk
speed
the
gun.
dogs at night, I walk the dogs in the morning, I cross at that walk. I've never really had to wait too long for cars to slow down. But you're right, the pedestrian crossing sign is,
And
it's an old one.
it's odd too, I think the way that you like, you know, from one direction, it's almost
From one
blind.
direction, it's on a rise.
Yeah.
Coming from Far Hills, you're not likely to see it as you
Right.
are from,
Right.
coming from Lamington.
Signage would be amazing, like fresh signage or just something that would say, hey, you have to go 35. Everyone who sees the 35, I think they wind up going 42, 45. There's a neighbor who bought a speed gun and has recordings of what the average speed is, and it was like 45, pretty much, down that entire strip of road. But, thank you.
So Kevin will report back just exactly if we've got more updates on when the road improvements are going to go through. And you can either come back at the next meeting or leave your information with Robin and we'll
Okay.
get back to you directly.
I'll send another neighbor, how about that?
Okay.
Draw
Thank you, Ms.
straws.
Grace, and
Thank
welcome
you.
to Bedminster.
Yes, welcome.
We are still in public comment. And Elliot has joined us.
Can't see.
Yeah.
That's Elliot. So if any member of the public still has additional comments, not in person, on Zoom, go down to reactions, raise hand. Seeing none, proceed with the rest of the meeting. We have one set of meeting minutes to review. The May 1st, 2023 Township Committee meeting minutes. Comments or questions regarding the minutes? If none, take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Permits and raffles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. First is social fair permit to benefit Ashton Brewing Company on June 3rd, 2023, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the United States Equestrian Team Foundation, 1 Schoolhouse Lane, Bedminster. Social fair permit to benefit the Essex Horse Trials on June 3rd, 2023, from 5 to 8 p.m. at the United States Equestrian Team Foundation, 1 Schoolhouse Lane, Bedminster. An off-premise 50/50 raffle to benefit the Center for Contemporary Art on October 13, 2023, at 7 to 10 p.m. at the Center for Contemporary Art. An off-premise merchandise raffle to benefit Children's Specialized Hospital Foundation on July 24, 2023 at 5 p.m. at Hamilton Farm Golf Club. And the last is an on-premise merchandise raffle to benefit Freedom House, Inc. on June 26, 2023 from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. at Fiddler's Elbow Country Club. Any comments or questions regarding the permits and raffles? Seeing none, take a motion to approve them all.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Monthly report discussion by subcommittee chairs. We'll start with Committeeman Stevenson.
Thanks, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. Just only update is on DPW. Kevin and his crew continue to work on those catch basins. We're working on a paving schedule, and we're also going to go out and try to get some aid, some state aid on the neighborhood behind Delicious Heights up there for potential curbing and potential asphalt financial assistance. So hopefully that goes through. Preparing work on taking down some trees. Thank you, Kevin. 2 of us were communicating with Mr. Roden during the past week and a half. So all appears to be in good order there, but we're going to continue to work on those trees.
And where are those trees? Is that at the park?
Well, we've got, yes, in the dog park, but also just generally ash trees throughout the municipality. I mean, we've got to start getting them down. They're becoming a danger, as I see in my backyard. We've got some plans, obviously, to expand the sewer facility. We've got them pending with the engineer now. That's progressing along. We've got the community gardens bid, going to be open bid this week. I think perhaps Robin, you'll touch upon that. And we're just working with REC to get the farmers market up and running. So a lot of stuff going on in DPW. Thank you, Kevin. Everything is in good order, and appreciate all your work.
Kevin, what is on the pavement management plan for this year, and what is the timing?
For what we are trying to accomplish this year, or the original plan where we're at?
What we are going to accomplish this year?
It's 8 roads currently: Fairview, Matthews, Cemetery, Brady, Old Stonehouse, Deer Haven, Elm. So 7. I'm sorry,
Okay.
7 right now.
So once we approve the budget, or the budget is final, Andrew, at what point do you go to bid, and when do you expect to get responses, and what would be in the calendar year? What are you looking to accomplish first?
So those 7 roads are actually all going to be co-op roads.
Okay.
We're going to go out to bid for them. 2 of them are just overlays. The milling costs really went up this year, so we're instead of milling the roads out, we're going to overlay them. 4 of the roads will be overlay. Then the other roads will be mill and pave out. Everything will be under co-op. I reached out to the vendor this week to see what their schedule was. So he's going to call me back, and we'll walk all the roads, go over any leveling or any base repair that needs to be done. And then his original timeline, the last we spoke was probably July.
Okay.
So we'll get a chunk of the roads done in July. We did speak about paving Riverwood, Tuttle, Bedminster Terrace, and then that section of Wildwood. But we're speaking to Robin and Paul. We're going to go for a local aid grant. There's 2 different grants. Robin's a little more familiar with it than I am. We'll bounce to her.
It's just another subsequent DOT grant that has become available, doesn't happen every year, it's in addition to the local aid grant. So we're gonna split that village project in half, and 1/3 and 2/3.
Okay.
And we're gonna address it with 2 different grants.
Okay,
See if we
so-
can get that covered.
So for the township committee and for the residents, they can expect to see paving activity starting in July.
Yes.
If all goes well.
Yes, hopefully, I would prefer sooner.
Okay.
Shooting for July, and with the other roads, if we don't get the grant, they were fully funded this year. Some with ARP money and some with our road improvement management plan. So if not this year, then next year. But Paul feels we have a really good shot to recoup some of the costs back to pave in town. So there's a great opportunity to move forward with that. Great.
Okay.
And look, I think it's worth mentioning that as we go through our budget items, paving is the heavy, right? So anytime we can get aid from state, county, wherever, we're going to do that and chase it and push a project down the line a year. It just makes too much cost sense not to do that.
Great. And Doug, you're good?
That's it for me, Mayor.
That's it?
Thank you.
Okay. Committeeman Hickey.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, all. Just a quick update on the Board of Health. First off, we had a very successful CPR and AED training here last Tuesday. We had a room full of folks, about 25 in all. They showed up, they got certified, and the program was very well received. Our next Board of Health meeting is this Thursday. There's consideration for a number of ordinance revisions and public hearings on those. So I'll have more to report next time. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Committeewoman Mareski.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. The Environmental Commission last week hosted Brian Zarate. You've probably heard his name before, but he's our New Jersey DEP Fish and Wildlife Connection. And as it turns out, they have about $35,000 that he's looking to spend in grant money. So he came to visit us last week, and we met him down at the Stall area to check out the turtle tunnels. And Kevin had joined us, and there was a lot of things going on that really need some upgrades, including some grass cutting and replacement of the wooden tunnels themselves. So we got back to the building, and Kevin gave us some background on some alternate materials besides the wood, because if you replace it with wood, you're going to go through this mushy stuff and have to replace it again. So Kevin was kind enough to go visit one of the places that had that kind of material that Brian was suggesting, and I'll pass it over to Kevin to let him tell us what he found.
So Brian was suggesting it's actually specifically a fence specific for turtles. It comes from the UK. So down in Robbinsville, I went and looked at the project that they installed. I think it would be a great option for us. Realistically, we got probably 7 good years out of the wooden fence. And I went through some invoices today, and 7 years ago, we spent, the biggest chunk was about $35,000 just on wood. So if we looked at costs now, we'd probably be close to probably 40 or 45,000 to replace the wood. The state's offering grant money of 35,000. If at Brian's estimate, it's $7.25 a linear foot, which is what he quoted us at roughly. They have enough money to fund the entire length of the 4,400 feet that the township has to replace. What we would end up doing would be regrade.
And that's on both sides of the road?
Both sides of the road, yes, Mayor. So we would regrade the area, put the fence in, and then we'd backfill it with topsoil. So my rough out-of-pocket cost is still probably gonna be $20,000 on top of the $35,000 thing. But this is something that should last 15 to 20 years, so we'll save in a full cycle of labor. And you will not see it from the roadway like you see the fence now. It's on a 45-degree angle, sticks up about 1.5 feet out of the ground. This fence is straight vertical into the ground, and it's backfilled. So from the roadway, once the grass grows, you'll never see it.
Did, the last time I think that Brian reported, and I think he actually reported back to the entire township committee, was a number of years ago, where he was reporting on the Montclair State graduate students who had installed the cameras and essentially had a this may have been actually before rain, but they had motion detector cameras in there to see the critters that were utilizing the tunnels. Has there been any update on the actual utilization of the tunnels by the target species?
No, he showed us some pictures, but they haven't done any more work, but they're assuming that it's still working.
Okay.
But he was looking for volunteers for a
Yes.
roadkill study, pretty much, to see what's in the roadway.
What's landing in the road
So they can see what's actually crossing the road, whether the fence is working.
and or using the fencing. Because now with the grass growing over, right, the little frogs and stuff like that are now using the grass to grow over that little fence. So they want to see who's doing that, and that's the roadkill project.
Right, but the tunnel was put in specifically for the wood turtle.
Yes,
But many amphibians benefit from it.
Yeah.
Yes,
no-
understood.
but no,
the-
they
but
ha-
the
they
permit
haven't- they
obligation
have not
was-
followed
was
through with-
Specific for the wood turtle,
mm-mm.
and when the Montclair State team did their
I don't think
review,
they did, right?
they showed,
He didn't mention in his presentation that they were still monitoring.
no,
The
No,
wood
it was just the
turtle.
Montclair State, and I want to say it was 2018, 2017,
Yeah.
it was
2018.
a number of
I
years
was-
ago, they were reporting back on the progress.
No,
And,
it's been a
They
significant
did
amount.
mention a number of species. There's one species that was not identified during the, that assessment. That was the wood turtle. So either they're not there, or they weren't being observed on those motion detector cameras. So I put that into context of, and understand the grant and great opportunity, but it may require some assessment of, is it producing the benefit that it was intended to?
Is it a requirement for us to keep?
And that, yes.
That's an honest
It
question.
was built into, and Robin, maybe you remember, was it a permit, or was that a settlement for the activity on the upland?
It was,
For
it
the
was
parking.
swapping of the
Yeah.
transition areas, and we were required to do the fencing as a result.
Yeah, so the fencing was required to go up, the long-term maintenance of it may be a little bit different.
Yeah.
But that's certainly something that we can look into, and maybe have that discussion with.
The only thing I could
Paul.
find in John's files today, I was looking, and I found the original permit that had the dates for the maintenance. But I don't know, did we ever renew that? Is that something we renew every 3 years? It's a question I have for Paul on Thursday, but
Yeah, we'll have to-
if we didn't renew it, are we still bound by those obligations?
Probably, but it's probably a good exercise to have that discussion with Paul.
Yeah.
And certainly to pursue the grant.
Yeah, I think that the grant's a home run, and at the end of the day, it's gonna save us in labor twofold.
Did Brian talk about what the application, is this a competitive grant, is it limited, are we vying with other municipalities, or is this something that he's saying, hey, because of the success of
He wants
what
to-
we've already done, that he's ready to, vouch for Bedminster in that grant?
From my conversation with him after the EC meeting, he made it seem like, give him a call, tell him we want to do it, and it'll be ours.
Okay.
He has to use this money by either the end of this year or the end of next year.
I don't think it was money that's just specifically designated to the turtle tunnels. I think he has it,
Okay,
just has the money, but he thought this would be a really good place to use it.
okay,
So I'll touch base with Robin and Paul on Thursday, and we will.
good. Is that 20,000 above the grant that,
I mean, if not, then we would be on the hook for 40,000.
understood,
So,
understood, and certainly.
and I was looking at alternative options, because the wood with the freeze thaw, the shrinking, the cracking, it creates voids. It's not a perfect thing.
And what is this, the new
It's
material?
rolled, I think, HDPE plastic.
It's plastic.
It comes in a roll. It's about 16 inches high. It's got a little lip on it, and it has a stake every 30 inches in the ground that holds it in, and then you just backfill against it. And so you would allow the amphibians to go to the edge, drop off. So it's a straight 90-degree drop. So it's less coming back up.
Okay.
And I like that you don't see it from the roadway. I think it's
So
an eyesore. I
basically,
think it's an eyesore
so
driving down
basically it would be
River
a
Road.
curbing from either side of the road on the other side of the road.
Correct.
So you wouldn't see, if you were looking at the Salt Natural area, you would see the plastic, but if you're from the road, you wouldn't see anything.
Yeah, so I have a couple pictures and I can show you afterwards. The grass actually grew up down in Robbinsville, so you really don't even see it, except for like the jug turnarounds. But besides that, once the grass grows up enough.
Okay. And do they have turtle tunnels there as well?
Yes, two.
Okay.
It's just the same exact things that we have. Brian made it sound like they kind of mirrored our project.
Sort of a gate system, so they can't go this way, they gotta go that way, or they gotta go that way, and
Yeah,
eventually.
but
they'll
it's
make
not
it
to
into a
the
tunnel.
scale of what we have. It's much smaller.
Okay. All right.
You can make up the other 20K by finding all non-wood duck users or wood turtle users if you want.
Toll?
Yeah, total.
Just find them.
The story I heard is that raccoons and foxes think the tunnels are great,
Oh.
They do.
Yeah, there were
Predators.
pictures in his slideshow.
because if all the critters are being funneled through a couple spots,
You just sit and
It's
wait.
their favorite restaurant.
Smorgasbord.
Oh, that's crazy. I believe it. That's
hey,
just-
I'm just,
That's
hey,
nature.
It's right, exactly.
you know, it's,
They designed
Darwinism.
it that way.
yeah, exactly. So,
Wow.
there you go. So maybe that's,
So the
maybe
turtles-
that
the
explains
turtles
why-
figured it
why the
out.
turtles aren't there anymore.
Right, they figured it out.
But that's all I have.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah. man, that was
Committee
interesting.
Woman Fernandez.
That's a hard one to follow. I don't
Committee
really know how you
report,
follow
wow.
the turtle
Turtles.
tunnels. Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So tomorrow there is a rec committee meeting. Rec committee meeting. Currently, camp, we're preparing for camp. So I will have an update for you after our rec meeting tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So real quick, it's May 15th. Collins Saturdays for the next, I don't know, 6 months, 4 months, 5 months. And Renee's.
Yay.
And yours.
And
mine. Over at River Road Park, because we are less than 2 weeks away from the start of the farmer's market. So we had a farmer's market meeting the same night as the CPR training class, which just was tremendous. This entire room was filled with folks doing CPR. That was so, kudos to the Board of Health for sponsoring that. That was just
Worked out
great
well.
to see. I remember pulling in that night home. It's a lot of cars here for a farmer's market meeting, but then I remembered what it was here for, so that was great. I don't have the list of the vendors, but it's a tremendous mix. One of the new additions we have is Cornelio's Pizzeria from Bedminster, which was just ranked as the #1 pizza place in New Jersey,
In Morristown.
in Morristown.
You said Bedminster.
Oh, I said-
I'm like,
I
do
was
we have
like,
another
where is
pizzeria?
that? Yeah.
That would make number 6.
Pizzeria Nail Salon, so they're, I'm sorry, in Morristown, and they were named the #1 pizzeria. They're not their.
What's the name?
Cornelius, it's right on South, right across from the Green.
Huh.
The
Never
same
heard of it.
strip on the corner with the Heart.
Yeah,
I
sure.
think they're on the corner of the Heart and
Okay.
South.
Yeah.
Uh,
Nice.
So they're gonna be there. They're not doing pizza, but they're doing other prepared foods. We've got organic produce, we have non-organic produce, we have sustainably grown produce, flowers,
Knife sharpening.
pastries,
Coffee.
Knife sharpening,
knife sharpening,
Music.
And coffee.
coffee,
music,
music. What else do we have?
fire department, coffee with a cop,
Coffee with a
Oh,
cop.
that's
Oh,
right.
I like that.
First
On
day out.
opening day.
opening day.
Coffee with a cop.
Do you get to pick the cop?
I'll get to it.
You'll have Officer Cooper.
Nice.
All right, good.
Cooper 2.
That'll be nice.
Cooper 2.0, that's great. So looking forward to it. And the next meeting, we'll have an hour recap of the first day of the farmer's market. So thank you to everyone, the Farmers Market Committee. Land Use Board, we have no pending applications, not that I'm aware of, although I do know some arrived, but have not been processed yet. So probably get something scheduled for the latter half of June. Colin and I have a library board meeting this week. And quick little update, this really doesn't fall under subcommittee, but as we talked before, convening with the property owners in Pluckman to look at the streetscape and ways to improve it. Our follow-up meeting is scheduled for the Thursday before Memorial Day weekend, and probably doing a little bit of a walkthrough up Pluckman and back to see where there's opportunities for improvement, whether it's sidewalks, streetscape, parking. Parking, a big concern back there. And, you know, frankly, just another great opportunity to bring these property owners together. So everyone we've talked to so far, very committed to good architecture, good design, and activating the streetscape. So very, very encouraged, and we'll see where we go from that. Paul, our municipal engineer, has worked on streetscape improvements in Hopewell and in Chester. And Frank Banish, our town planner, has also worked on streetscape improvements, and also we've got great assistance from Somerset County, and Walter Lane is also ready to assist us with whatever Somerset County can offer as far as planning ideas and possibly some grant opportunities. So if we play around with the sidewalks, some vegetation, you know, the woman who came before, Karen Grace talked about traffic calming, similar to the section on Main Street where the speed limit is 35, and Pluckman, the speed limit is 25, right?
35.
35?
35.
Okay, 35.
35, 25, it
35.
comes and
There's
goes.
some-
Well,
I think
it
there's
goes
some
from-
45,
It goes
40,
from
35.
55,
Depends on the day of the
40,
week.
Yeah.
45, 40. So ways we can sort of clear that up, and also providing better pedestrian cross from one side of Pluckman, from one side of the street to the other. So,
One thing, if you could take back to the Fresh Market property owner, I've noticed several times in the last couple of days that I've never seen before, people taking a left onto 202, 206 going north, and they're not allowed to take a left. There's a sign that says no left turn right across from the liquor store at a Fresh Market.
south.
They're going north.
They're making a left to go south.
If you're making a north, you're going right.
You're supposed to be going right. These guys have been taking a left, yeah, to go south.
Okay, south. Okay.
And there's a sign there, and it gets a little dangerous during rush hour.
Oh, at rush hour?
I need to.
Oh, there's too much traffic there.
They've found a way.
Well,
And that's new. I've never seen that before, so.
well, we
I
can
know if
mention it
we-
to the property owner, but you could mention it to that guy over there.
I keep mentioning things to him. I feel bad. I keep picking on him.
Yeah, we'll get it.
Okay, thank you.
See, there you go.
I love this little town.
Just like that. So that's scheduled for May 25th, and that's what I have. Ms. Ray, you have the administrator's report.
Sure. Last week, we interviewed for the open violations clerk position. With Terry's retirement and promotions from within, we had a position available. There's a resolution for consideration later in the meeting based on the HR committee's input, that is consisting of HR, the administrator and court administrator, and input from Business 13 Division of Courts. They always have to be involved in the process. May 2nd, we had the free COVID vaccine clinic here from 3:30 to 6:30 in the afternoon. That was conducted by Somerset County Health Department, targeted towards families with young children. Not such a great attendance, but they're going to continue to do these and making also available to the general public. Committeeman Hickey already touched on the.
Robin, did they
Yeah.
give you any sense of how the COVID shots are being received? Was it anomalous, or were they seeing low attendance throughout the county?
I would ask that question, as throughout the county, they see low attendance. We really feel that most people are pretty much, addressed the issue with the vaccine. They were just concerned about children, that was the big thing, to getting out after school when the families are, they get here, so that's why we did 336. Because most people using their family physicians is what they say to us.
All right, sorry.
That's okay. Committeeman Hickey already touched upon the AED CPR training, which was fantastic. Kudos to Janine for really pulling that together. On May 11th, I attended a JIF meeting, just so you know. The JIF has issued new guidance with regards to the personnel manual, and we're doing it all over again, due by December 31st. So it seems like it just keeps coming. The town hall building updates, but you can see for yourself, we have this wonderful new carpeting. Phase 1 started last week, and we have 2 more phases continuing. Phase 2 is May 19th. The administration area will be done, and then followed by phase 3, which is May 26th with construction and tax. So we're all packing up and unpacking. And on May 17th, I will be attending the Central Jersey Health Insurance Fund meeting, which kind of tells us how we are, measure up to other member municipalities. And then on May 18th, as Committeeman Stevenson had mentioned, is the bid opening for the community garden project. That's at 10 o'clock.
That's great. Thank you. And while we've got the police chief and DPW director, do you guys have anything to add from what we've already covered? Okay, thank you. Ordinances, we have none to introduce, and we have none scheduled for public hearing, so we'll move to resolutions. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 resolutions on the consent agenda. These are matters of routine importance. Any member of the Township Committee can make the recommendation or to pull a resolution off for individual consideration. Seeing none, I'll take a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, please. Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Hickey?
Aye.
Ms. Moraski?
Aye.
Ms. Fernandez?
Aye.
And Mayor Jacobs?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're at the highlight of the meeting.
Here we go.
Okay.
We have 3 resolutions, and these are all related to the 2023 budget. So, Robin, how do you want to start? Do you want to hand it over to Andrew, or do you want to run through the resolutions?
Mayor Jacobs, just one point, before we do the approval of the 2023 budget, we do have to do the public hearing. So just in between approval of the corrective action plan and the approved adoption of the budget, we just have to do that.
Okay, so let's go, do you want to go through
So if we could.
the audit first?
Yes, if we could do the audit first.
Okay.
With Andrew, since we have him here, you all received copies of the audit electronically as well as hard copies for your review. I'll turn it over to Andrew.
Yeah, we'll take it away. So 2022 wound up to be another pretty good year in Bedminster. Going in, we weren't so sure about things, still coming out of the pandemic and everything. But we wound up pretty well, so I'm going to give you some financial highlights and just some other facts from within the audit report that are pertinent. And if you have any questions once I'm done, please let me know. So to begin with, in the current fund, we had $40,740,000 of revenue. Of that $40,740,000, $1.6 million was fund balance that we utilized to build the budget in 2022. And we had $38,400,000 of expenditures, increasing our fund balance from $8.2 million at the beginning of the year to a little bit over $9 million. So we increased about $730,000. Our collection rate in 2022 was once again very high. So congratulations to the tax department on that. We wound up with a 98.94 collection rate, which is excellent. Anything pretty much above 95, 96, I'm very happy with, so that's an excellent tax collection rate. For the utility, the sewer utility, we had $952,000 of income, revenue, I'm sorry, and we had $297,000 that we used of fund balance. We had $719,000 of total expenditures, and we actually had a slight decrease in our sewer utility of about $64,000, but we still have a very healthy fund balance in our sewer utility of about just under $2 million. Also, I just want to discuss really quickly, we continued to do capital projects in 2022, very aggressive, keeping that level of service high. And also we made the final payment on the 2012 bond anticipation notes. That was a payment of $89,625. And we actually issued new bond anticipation notes in 2022 of $947,000 for new vehicles. And, not to foreshadow too much, but that's also the $94,700 that is in the 2023 budget to start paying that down. We did include, once again, it started to happen now throughout our municipalities where we're starting to get monitoring on the COVID funds. But we once again just included the management suggestion, just keep everything in its place, be aware that they're gonna come in, we perform a statutory audit, they perform a crazy audit. They come in and they look over every little thing, make sure that everything was filed on time, which to a very large extent we do as well. We haven't seen anything to suggest that there's any issues with any of the grants, that there were any late filings or inappropriate charges charged to a grant or anything like that, but we just want to make you aware of it. And the last note, we did have the recommendation in about segregation of duties again, which I know we've discussed this ad nauseum over the years. It's a very difficult recommendation to get away from, but I do know that Debbie and Robin have both been working and we're trying to figure out a way to get this out. So hopefully we can figure out a way to pull that recommendation out going forward. No more Bud, now you have Andrew, so maybe we can figure out how to work this out for us. But yeah, other than that, again, it was a good year. Debbie, Robin, and the rest of the staff here really do a wonderful job. My team loves coming here, and it's always a pleasure working with everyone here. So with that, if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Questions on the 2022 audit? No questions on the 2022 audit. I'll take a motion to approve resolution number 2023-074, acknowledging that the governing body has reviewed at a minimum the general comments and recommendations of the registered municipal accountant on the annual audit for 2022.
So moved. Second.
Roll call vote, please. Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Hickey?
Aye.
Ms. Marowski?
Aye.
Ms. Fernandez?
Aye.
And Mayor Jacobs?
Aye.
Thank you.
So which brings us to resolution 2023-076. And Andrew, if you could just bring us to the corrective action plan, what page that is?
That's not actually in the audit.
Oh, it's not?
No, that's,
Yeah, they do. You have this. It's resolution 2023-076 in your book.
All right, so 2023-076, and the annual audit report was delivered. Requires that the chief financial officer prepare a corrective action plan covering all findings and recommendations in the audit report. And corrective action is on Appendix A, and this is the recommendation, as Andrew identified, has been made every year, certainly as far as I've been on the committee, and well before that, which is that we do not have We do not separate the duties with respect to recording and treasury functions. And this is a standard recommendation, and if we were a much bigger town, perhaps we could do that, but we are not a much bigger town. So this is a standing recommendation. Any questions or comments concerning the resolution or acknowledgement of the recommendations and corrective action plan? Seeing none, take a motion to approve Resolution 2023-076.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, please. Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Hickey?
Aye.
Ms. Moreski?
Aye.
Ms. Fernandez?
Aye.
And Mayor Jacobs?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. And who's doing this? Who's doing the budget? So
I can take that one.
the budget is,
You wanna do the-
our 2023 budget is resolution number 2023-078. However, before we go and take a vote on the budget, we have a presentation by our auditor. And Robin, are you participating in the presentation as well?
No, I'm not.
No, you are not. Quick answer there. So we'll, Andrew, what do we do first? We open up
I
for
can
public
do this
hearing,
and then-
or do we let you go first and then open up for public hearing?
I can do this and then you can do public hearing.
Okay.
That's fine. All right, so just a couple of quick points on the 2023 budget. Again, a lot of work goes into this. I know that all of the department heads, the entire governing body spend a lot of time and put a lot of work into this. It's obviously apparent year after year, as we just finished discussing the audit, that the quality of the finances of the town, that the taxpayer dollars are taken very seriously, and that the responsibility that each of you holds to it is very apparent. With that being said, we are both below the appropriation cap for 2023 and the tax levy cap. We're under the appropriation cap by about $280,000 this year, and we're below the tax levy cap by about $270,000 this year. As I said earlier, we have the new bond anticipation note this year, and we budgeted it's $947,000. We budgeted $94,700 to pay that down. And we're also budgeting to pay down Green Acres again, which will finish in 2028. We included a slight increase in the amount that we were budgeting for capital improvement fund. The overall effect on the average home assessed in Bedminster for 2023 at $493,000 is an annual increase of $22 or a monthly increase of $1.84. So again, it's a solid budget, very well thought out, very responsibly thought out, and I thank all of you. You put so much work into this. It's one of my easier towns to participate in this because you're all so involved, as well as all of your department heads that come with great information to all of your meetings, and of course Robin and Debbie. So if anyone has any questions on the budget, I'd be happy to answer them.
So if we can put that, because I know Jake is taking notes and he's been reporting on percentage increases. So if you could just talk about, I'm not sure if you have those numbers in front of you, but percentage on percentage increase or decrease. So on either the tax levy or expenditures.
Sure, yeah. So the increase of the total tax levy this year was 1.6%. The average assessed value of homes in Bedminster increased this year as opposed to the previous year. So actually, it sounds weird saying this because I just did say that it's a $22 increase year over year, but that's because the increase in assessment, but the rate actually comes down by about 1.79% for the average homeowner. So it's a little bit of a misnomer because of the increase in the assessed value. If you have a couple months, I can explain all of it to everyone, but it takes a lot to understand it. But that's basically, yeah, so the overall increase as far as that goes is 1.6%.
Okay.
And another thing, just to point this out, very difficult year for municipalities in the state of New Jersey. there are unavoidable costs that came due this year. Number one being the state health benefits, which was massive. Everyone's health benefits went up this year. Pensions went up. The price of fuel obviously went up, and the tipping fees for garbage and recycling went up significantly. So being able to control this and move things around and put the budget together the way it was, it's a very modest increase in a year in which all of these difficulties have been put right at your front door. So I feel like I'm just congratulating everyone here. But, you know.
Well, thank you for coming. Don't hold back.
I'd like to say 1.5%, 1.59% versus 1.6, but okay.
I rounded.
$9.99,
Let's go with, we're gonna go with Robin's number. Jake,
1.59.
Robin said 1.59.
As the old auditor saying, it's immaterial.
We fight for it.
That's right. So let me turn to the Township Committee for questions or comments to Andrew and Robin on the budget.
I'm going to save my comments for the end of the meeting, but I will say thank you for everything you do for us, Andrew, and keeping us on point. There's lots of times during our budget where, you know, we come up with crazy ideas to try to be flexible and move stuff around, like you say, and it's good to know that we have that backboard behind us to say, hey, can we do this? No, you may not. Okay, we'll move it on. But, you know, you work with us, and it's, you know, I share, I think, you know, the rest of us feel the same way with your company, and certainly have a comfort level with you. Thank you. And Robin, we'll address you later, but thank you so much for everything you've done. Tirelessly working at this budget, and, you know, you make us better at it, but I'll save the kudos for you for later.
Nice use of the backboard reference, by the way.
Yeah.
I see how you.
Gotta try to do it, you know?
I see how you work that in. Any further questions or comments regarding the budget? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to open the budget for the public hearing. So need a second.
So, second.
So moved.
I'm sorry, I need a motion, Renee, and a second for the public hearing.
Second.
You're
the first.
You made the motion.
It's a good thing we're not in like the theater here, you know, like,
Doug's,
please, go ahead.
Say so moved.
so moved.
Second.
You already so moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so any member of the public have questions or comments concerning the 2023 budget?
I'm seeing none online yet.
Now, Robin, do I have to read through this resolution again?
Andrew?
Objection, pleading.
You did for the introduction, he read through it.
Robin, I don't have to read this again, do I?
I don't believe so, Mayor. It's been out and about, published for a month now, so.
Okay. I'll take a motion to close the public hearing on the 23 budget.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
And I'll take a motion to approve resolution 2023-078, approving the 2023 Township of Bedminster municipal budget.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, Mr. Stevenson.
Aye.
Mr. Hickey.
Aye.
Ms. Moreski.
Aye.
Ms. Fernandez.
Aye.
And Mayor Jacobs.
Aye. I'll take a motion to approve the bill list pending review of individual invoices.
So moved.
Second.
Thank
You
you.
too,
Thank
Andrea.
you.
Thank you so much.
That was Renee on the bill list and me as a second.
Thank you. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Roll call vote, please. Mr. Stevenson.
Aye.
Mr. Hickey.
Aye.
Ms. Moreski.
Aye.
Ms. Fernandez.
Aye.
And Mayor Jacobs.
Aye.
Thank you.
Any matters for new business? See none. Old business. DOT improvements, Pluckman signage.
No updates. Mayor.
No updates. Okay. Utilities. Committeeman Hickey, any update on the utility situation?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick update on Altice. Work is now starting up in Wood Duck Pond, which is the third neighborhood where the fiber upgrade is in progress. That's in addition to the two others being Cortland and Wynwood. Some additional good news, Altice is finding conduit in some of these neighborhoods, which obviously makes the job easier. So instead of trenching and boring, they are pulling the fiber through the existing conduit, which obviously lessens the time and impact of construction. At this point, 11 of the 22 associations.
Those aren't sewer lines, right?
No, not sewer lines.
They're not turtle
They're
tunnels?
They're not
competitor
sewer
Are
tunnels.
they turtle tunnels?
They're competitors' lines.
No, they are, believe it or not, Altice-owned conduit. So somebody had the foresight, especially in a number of the neighborhoods where there's a lot of pavement and parking in front of those units, to run conduit many, many years ago, so.
But they didn't know they had it?
You'd be surprised in the utility world how much stuff doesn't actually get documented, drawn, and realize you've gone from TKR cable to, right, from back in the 80s to Altice having acquired that property back in the 90s.
TKR, Patriot Media.
Patriot Media,
Wow.
right, Cablevision, now Altice. So yeah, this stuff. But the good news is they found it, they're utilizing it, and it's going to help speed up everything.
That's
They're
fantastic.
tying the fiber to the turtles and putting them through the conduit.
That's how we bore these days, man.
Go
They're
slow.
They're slow, but they get the job done.
Exactly.
As I mentioned, 11 of the 22 agreements with the associations have been signed and fully executed. I would estimate another 6 or so will be executed probably within the next 30 to 45 days. In speaking with the folks doing the construction scheduling, the crews will continue to do the work through November, weather permitting. However, just given the sheer number of executed agreements, it's likely to push the start date for some of the neighborhoods into spring of 2024. Each bill takes about 4 to 6 weeks to complete, so demand is exceeding capacity. And I know you're going to ask the question, can they put more crews on it? But this is somewhat specialized work, has to be closely supervised and monitored. So they're being dutiful in terms of how they're going through the logic of their construction. They're basically doing the construction in the order in which they received the signed agreements, but they're also clustering the builds. So right now you're seeing a lot of work going on in Hills Village North. Starting around July 4th, you're going to see that shift to Hills Village, where Knollcrest will be the first neighborhood to be wired there.
So Cortland and Wynwood and Wood Duck Pond.
And then Four Oaks will be on top of that next.
So will they be live with fiber connections?
So what happens right now is you have the cable install, you have the cable splicing. Phase 1 is to put the fiber to the pedestals. Full stop, then you have a field operations team comes in, basically they drop postcards to those neighborhoods. Hey, you're now fiber ready. If you'd like to order service, call us at this 800 number. So then on a separate appointment date, a customer can say, I want fiber, and then there'll be a conduit installed from the pedestal into the home, or the fiber run into the home. New penetration, and it terminates in a new box in the home. So that will come on quickly once those neighborhoods are basically pre-wired.
So if it's a 4 to 6 week build, let's just say for Portland, since that was one of the first neighborhoods.
Correct.
So are we looking at 8 weeks before they?
I'm hopeful that after that is done, and I don't know, and I have to find out from the marketing team there, when they start to drop those postcards and do the alerts. And do they do them neighborhood by neighborhood? Do they do them by section? That's one of the details we have to get worked out. Excuse me.
Got it.
But that will be coming.
Sunday ticket will be available.
That's important. That's a good milestone, right?
Right, absolutely.
Good point.
Another sports reference. for
Yeah.
those
Yes, I
people who are-
know. Very well done.
I'm keeping count.
There's always at least
I'm
one.
a simpleton.
And that's all I have there.
Okay, well, that's great. That's,
Good news.
that's really great
That's
news
good.
and a lot of years in getting to this point.
Yeah,
So
it's exciting.
Fantastic. It's great. Let's see. Pluckman Park Housing. John Bellardo, I take it no update on any news from the owners of Pluckman Park?
The only thing that we hear from them, Mayor, is the sound of crickets.
Okay. All right. Well, we do not have an executive session tonight, so we'll run through Township Committee comments, and then we will adjourn for the evening. Benjamin Stevenson, we'll start with you.
Thank you, Mayor. First, to start with a public service announcement and just remind people that the poison ivy is alive and well. Be careful out there cleaning out your yards.
Personal experience,
Yes,
Doug? Okay.
I'm living through wanting to itch myself right now. It's miserable. But anyway, onto the budget, Robin. You know, in private practice, one of the hardest things it is for us is to find good workers and good help. And, you know, I can't tell you what a delight it is to have you running the show here first. But, you know, it's in the budget session, you know, herding cats, trying to get everything together, and get all your departments together and get all the runs together. But every time we got together, went through the numbers, you had everything just at the fingertips, anticipating questions, having the answers, tracking down answers that we couldn't foresee from the mayor. And, you know, just a great job, and just getting us to where we needed to be. And, you know, I look back 2 years from that, 2 years ago, and oh my goodness, what's going to happen? You know, we're losing all these people. You've been just knocked the ball out of the park. Like, keep it up. I don't know if you can keep it up because you're going at a frenetic pace, but you're amazing. And thank you for everything you've done for the township. So as a resident here, forget about TC member, thank you. You
We're
are,
a great team.
you're doing an amazing job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Committeeman Hickey.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to echo Committeeman Stevenson's comments, I just want to thank you, Mayor, my colleagues, Administrator Ray, who always does a great job, the township staff, our volunteer organizations, and our outside support teams. Andrew, the level of professionalism he brings to the job. We saw it tonight, it's all wrapped up neat in a bow, but we all know what goes into making the sausage. And, Andrew was speaking, I was thinking about it. We've come off 3 years of COVID. We had that COVID budget 3 years ago where we sat in here on a Saturday to redo the budget. Now we find ourselves in a brutal inflationary environment, right? Inflation peaked at 9.1% last August. We're still in the fives right now, right? So that means that the products we buy, the services we procure, the folks we hire, they're all impacted by the same inflationary wave. And then on top of that, you put unfunded mandates that come down from the governor's office. I know that's your favorite topic, and you bang the table, rightly so, on that. We have new regulations imposed on us by the state. As Harry Truman said, the buck stops here. So given all of that pressure, it's amazing we brought the budget in at the level we did. But that doesn't happen without the hard work and dedication of everybody in this room. Thank you, Robin. Thank you all. And as Doug said, not just as a committee person, but as a Bedminster resident. So thank you.
Stoneface Moreski. You're up.
What is there left to say except thank you, Robin, you and your team. You make our job so much easier, even when it's a difficult job to do. And as these guys mentioned, being a resident of Bedminster, it's a choice that we make to live here. And stop it. And to see the work that gets put into our budgets, because we don't all have a whole lot of money to pay for our tax bills at the end of the day. And to know that all this work goes into keeping it low is appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Committeewoman Fernandez.
I agree with what everyone says. I mean, a big part of what we do on Township Committee is go over the budget, and it takes up months of your time, and we really do appreciate it because all that effort just makes Bedminster better. Right? So you don't think about the difference you're making for like the whole town, but we keep our taxes low, we keep our quality of life high here, and you really do contribute to that. So thank you, Robin. Thank you to everyone up here and all the department heads and everyone really who played a part in this. We're done.
Thank
next
you.
year.
So, Robin, just as you mentioned, bringing the department heads into the meetings, Kevin Murray at every meeting, Chief Bernardo at every meeting, Neil Mastrobuono from our Recreation Department at every meeting. Kevin brought Jason, from the foreman, to the meetings. Obviously we had the fire departments come through, we had first aid come through, but I want to talk about the fact that our department heads were with us. And you mentioned the sausage making, right? And you also mentioned Robin being prepared and being over-prepared, and then the mayor asking some ridiculous question that she hadn't anticipated, or, suffering through the crazy ideas that we throw out. and working through that in the budget process. So there's a lot of effort by everyone behind the scenes. The work is dramatic and dramatically intense to get us to this point. And Robin, you brought us there. Now, one of the things that we talked about, and certainly we considered at every single budget meeting, was identifying priorities. And from the Township Committee, we turned to the department heads and to Robin. Identify your priorities and let's put some numbers on that. And then it comes back to the Township Committee to make decisions on those priorities. So one of the things that's built into this year's budget is the hiring of 2 new police officers. We had a number of discussions with Chief Bernardo at our budget sessions. Was this right? How are we staffed? It's one of the most important provisions of municipal service to our residents. And Chief Bernardo walked us through in detail what can be accomplished with adding 2 new officers to the Bedminster PD. And that we've already started seeing the benefits, even though we haven't hired them yet. That with Chief Bernardo, a commitment to community policing, community engagement, and having those 2 extra officers puts us on that track. Chief, does that bring us to where we were several years ago, pre-2011?
Yes.
Yeah, so that was the number that we had been at. This is before I was on Township Committee, but restores us to where we were. And at that time, there was community policing. That was also coincided, I believe, with one of the tough budget years and a tough PBA decision. And that was what Township Committee took steps way back when. But this puts us back in track to deliver those services. So it's not just numbers, right? We talked about the numbers. Andrew presented the impact to the residents, but it's delivery of services. And that's our job up here. Job number 1 is delivery of services, doing it at the right price. And I commend Robin, Deb, all our department heads, the police chief, folks from the fire department and first aid, who came and talked about their needs, and to the Township Committee for, let's see, 6 meetings, long 6 meetings to get us there. Don't forget the bolognese.
Capital Plan G, F, G.
I will say, when we started the process, I did not believe that we were going to end up below 2%. Didn't believe it. We went through, we purposely, there was, I forget, Doug, it was you or Colin made reference to the COVID budget. We had a budget ready to go in 2020. I think we were looking at a 1.6, 1.8% increase. And we realized that we did not know where we were going to end up, where we were going to see residents losing jobs, getting pay cuts because of the shutdown. And in March, we gathered in this chamber for basically about 5 hours and redid the budget in one Saturday morning because we were concerned of the impact. And so here we are in 2023. Now was the time to pay the piper, right? That we did what we could for our residents during COVID. Was it a catch-up? But through hard work and really scrutinizing the numbers, making sure that we prioritized everything properly, we ended up below 2%. I really did not think we were going to get there. So, I'm very pleased with that 1.6% and how we got there. So thank you all. That's all I have for tonight. And I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you and good night.
Good night, all.
Hey,
Night.